The Toronto Raptors are forced into an impossible decision right now, as Jakob Poeltl has been phenomenal to start off this season, and frankly has elevated his game in all different aspects. But this has put Masai Ujiri into a corner, as right now Jakob Poeltl's trade value is sky high, meaning you could get serious returns out for him in the open trade market here now at this point. And the Toronto Raptors have had one of the most difficult schedules in the entire NBA to start off this season. And if the Raptors are still trying to pursue this rebuild, still trying to acquire top level talent in this loaded NBA draft, with Jakob Poeltl in the lineup, frankly, and when players return from injury, this team is going to be too good to really bottom out there in the abysmal Eastern Conference that we've seen over the start of the season. So we're going to break down the difficult decision that Masai Ujiri has regarding Jakob Poeltl, what implications a trade or not trading him will have on this team, and frankly, give the opinions on what the Toronto Raptors should do, because there's a lot of directions this team could go. So lots of stuff to break down in this video, but before we do, folks, again, you guys have been crushing it, hitting the sub button, hit the like button as of late, but folks, we are very, very close to 36,000 subscribers, and still over 67% of our viewers haven't hit the subscribe button just yet. So, trying to hit that goal. If you're watching the vid, staying tuned into the daily Toronto Raptors news and haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, make sure you guys hit that sub button. It would mean the world to me. But let's dive into it, because again, I had a look yesterday at the Eastern Conference standings and had a couple of revelations, because again, you look at the Raptors record and like, hey, this is the optimal tank. We've seen a lot of people say, hey, this is the perfect sort of capture the flag season. The Raptors having phenomenal competitive games, and they're losing. So they have a shot at getting Ace Bailey, Cooper Flagg, some of those top tier draft picks to really add another infinity stone to this Toronto Raptors core. And the Raptors, again, 2-6, you look at that and you're like, okay, they're losing games, there's this. And I'm still rooting for the Raptors to win every single night and stuff like that. But again, I want long-term to have as much star power into this core as possible. But so things are fine. You look at it in a micro perspective, Raptors have a bad record and they're developing. It's fun. It's a fun sort of team. But then you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, because frankly, the Toronto Raptors, if you look at it right now, are 2 games back of the 3rd seed. The 3rd seed, right? The 13th seed in the Eastern Conference, ahead of the Sixers and the Bucks, who are probably going to overtake them at some point when they get healthy. But who knows? Both those teams have been horrible. But the Toronto Raptors are 2 games back of the 3rd seed right now. The entire Eastern Conference is a complete a cluster of badness. This conference is in a complete desperation mode. It's getting really bad, but now these teams are going to have to start playing each other, and the Raptors have had the toughest schedule in the entire NBA to start off this season, and all of the games have been really close. And frankly, a big part of that is because of Jakob Poeltl. And we can take a look at his stats. Jakob Poeltl this season is averaging 16 points per game, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.3 blocks, 1 steal a night. He's shooting 59% from the field, and he's still in the prime of his career. I mean, Jakob Poeltl has been very, very effective out there for this Toronto Raptors team. And no, I don't think anyone expected this level of jump, this increase of production, this level of performance from Jakob Poeltl, and we knew how good he was. Like, Jakob Poeltl is an awesome basketball player, and obviously Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, more talented players, the more skilled players, all that type of stuff. But in terms of this roster construction, how things are set up for the Toronto Raptors right now, Jakob Poeltl is probably the most important player on this team, just given how he anchors the defense, how he can facilitate out there in the mid post, and frankly, just his entire effect out there on the game. So, not a problem. That's great development. That's a huge plus for this Raptors team. But we go back to this, right? Once the Raptors schedule gets a bit easier, once the Raptors start playing teams that aren't as just brutal as the teams that they've faced to start off the season, with Jakob Poeltl in the lineup and even IQ, Scottie Barnes coming back into the mix, then you're going to have an interesting situation, because frankly, the Raptors are going to start winning some games. That's just kind of the reality of this whole situation. So, again, there's so many people talking about, hey, adding Cooper Flagg to this mix, right? Really coming out, and I got multiple sort of Cooper Flagg out here animations, in the chamber for this. But, they want to see a star player added to this core, so we could really take that jump, take that leap moving forward for the franchise. So, Jakob Poeltl be on the roster, especially with his age, differing timelines and stuff, doesn't make sense to really ensure that we bottom out, we continue this kind of take, this push to trade Jakob Poeltl. And this is a very, very difficult decision that Masai Ujiri is kind of forced into, because, again, you want to maintain, assets. And Poeltl has just been a beast for the Raptors. He's willing to be a part of this rebuild, and I just love having him on this team. But again, if you're trying to bottom out, if you're trying to accumulate as many star talents as you have, especially when Jakob Poeltl's trade value is at an all-time high, sometimes you just got to sell high on these guys and, take that hurt in the heart of your core, trading away these types of pieces. And basically, this is where a couple opportunities have kind of arisen. So, again, one team that is in an interesting spot right now, the Memphis Grizzlies. They have a lot of win-now players, and Zach Edey, you see it on the left side, a guy that popped up in the intro video, where is the 9th pick in this year's NBA draft, Canadian 7'6", and he just had a monster performance out there for the Memphis Grizzlies. This season, though, hasn't been like crazy. He's dealt with some foul trouble. He's dealt with some different things, but he's shooting threes here now at this point. 11 points per game, 7 rebounds, and there has been some saying that maybe the Memphis Grizzlies would be interested in getting more of a win-now guy, a win-now opportunity in terms of fitting around Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., all those pieces they have out there. And with Jakob Poeltl's just elevated level of performance, maybe you just adjust the timelines and they push things ahead and be interested in making that sort of swap for Jakob Poeltl. And again, Edey is still a bit raw. He has some awesome games, and then he has some games where he's just egregiously bad in foul trouble. So that swap there, in terms of, I had cooked up the little trade machine there at this point, right? Zach Edey for Jakob Poeltl, and then Brandon Clark are there to make the salaries match. That's a trade that works. That's a trade situation that's kind of out there that I just kind of wanted to throw out there into the atmosphere, because I've heard some discussions in terms of that making sense as a deal for this Raptors team. And, as much as I love Jakob Poeltl, everyone knows how high I've been on the Zach Edey bandwagon, the Zach Edey train. So, that's something, it fits the timeline maybe a little bit better. But again, Jakob Poeltl has just been a monster. He's been a top 10 center for this team. So it would hurt us in the short term, but still keeps us having some center depth, some different pieces to the squad. Brandon Clark's also an interesting addition, dealt with some injuries and stuff. But I don't know. That's something that a little trade package that I've seen out there. But one team that you could definitely maybe finesse, go out there and get some serious assets from is the New Orleans Pelicans, who right now are very, very thin out there on the front line. They're playing Daniel Tice, who's been basically a waiver guy in the NBA for the last little while. Missy's been an interesting sort of young prospect, but again, the Pelicans are a team that's in win-now mode, and obviously in the deep depths of their depth chart because of the injuries, you have guys like DeJounte Murray who are out there, but guys like Jordan Hawkins, the Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Trey Murphy, all these types of players have been very effective out there for that squad. So again, they're trying to win now, especially with Zion at this point. So they're running Herb Jones for stretches out there at the center position. So again, all of these guys are dealing with injuries right now. That's why they're not popping up in the depth chart. So maybe the Toronto Raptors could really take a team that's desperate for a center, desperate for someone to play at that kind of caliber at that position, and get some serious assets back. Because again, I don't know if Herb Jones, I don't know if Trey Murphy are really the answer for this team, the perfect sort of pieces, the perfect acquisitions for this Raptors squad, but they have a ton of first-round picks. They have a ton of draft capital that really could have an impact, particularly those Milwaukee Bucks picks, because we've seen how bad the Milwaukee Bucks have been for this season. So that's something you definitely turn your eye to in terms of facilitating rebuild, and then it also gives the Raptors a solid chance at landing a Cooper Flag, landing one of those more upper echelon, upper tier prospects out there in this sort of NBA draft. So these are all things you kind of have to factor in, and it's brutal, right? Because you look at the core of the Toronto Raptors, you look at the core of this team, and you say, hey, Jakob Poeltl kind of fits pretty well in terms of what's going on, the way he's playing right now with an IQ, with a Scottie Barnes, with all these types of players, Gradey Dick, RJ Barrett stepping up, and you look at it even for this season, right? Some people want to win now, and I don't blame them, because frankly, even with the bloodbath of a schedule, the young players, the mistakes that are going out there in terms of the lineups, this team is still 2 games back of the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. So, frankly, it's an impossible decision right now for Masai Ujiri in terms of what's going on, but it's good problems to have. You have two pretty solid directions you have for this Raptors core. Again, you much rather have your guys playing well rather than not playing well. So, very, very much an interesting situation for this Raptors team. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about a Jakob Poeltl trade. Do you want to see it happen? How are you feeling about it? Or we just wait and play it out and see how things go over the course of the season? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys have best thing as far, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.